So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this press conference following today's intergovernmental conference with Albania. My name is Anna Atanasov. I'm the spokesperson of the Hungarian presidency. Today is a special moment for the Hungarian presidency, as accelerating the accession of the Western Balkans is one of our key priorities. So it's with great pleasure to welcome here with us Mr. Edi Rama, Prime Minister of Albania, Mr. Péter Szijjártó, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary, and Mr. Oliver Várhelyi, European Commissioner for Neighbourhood and Enlargement. So first I will give the floor to Minister Szijjártó, followed by the Prime Minister and the Commissioner. And then, of course, we will take your questions. So without further ado, Minister Szijjártó, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning to all of you. Tisztelettel köszöntöm azokat, akik otthon néznek minket Magyarországon. The moments we have experienced in the last hour and a half have been historic for sure, given the fact that we have opened the first negotiating cluster of chapters with Albania, which means that substantially speaking, the accession talks have been started in order to make sure that Albania will join the European Union as soon as possible. The issue of the acceleration of the enlargement of the European Union towards the Western Balkans region has been on the top of the agenda of the Hungarian presidency. We do understand that the European Union is losing competitiveness, losing its weight when it comes to global politics and world economy. Therefore, we understand that the European Union needs freshness, new energies, new impetus, and being neighbors, direct neighbors to the Western Balkan region, knowing the region well, we know that this freshness, this new energy we need will definitely come from the Western Balkan area. Therefore, this is a true European interest that the enlargement of the EU towards the Western Balkans is going to be accelerated. On the other hand, we have to make urgent steps in order to maintain the credibility of the enlargement policy. We do consider enlargement policy as one of the most important policies of the European Union. And we have to understand that this policy has lost credibility in the recent times, given the fact that the average waiting time of the countries, of the candidate countries in the Western Balkans has now exceeded 15 years. And this is simply inappropriate. We have to accelerate the procedure of enlargement now. On the other hand, the majority of the member states usually say that the enlargement must be a process based on merits, merit-based process. This is the expression we hear pretty often. And the merits are here. Obviously, if you look at the achievements of Albania in the recent years, be it economy, be it politics, be it social issues, it is obvious that the merits are there. We Hungarians can rely on our own bilateral experience. I hope it's not forbidden here. So Hungarian investors play an important role in the modernization in the Albanian economy, and all of them tend to report to us that the circumstances and the environment they do experience in Albania is absolutely satisfactory. It's absolutely market and competition based. On the other hand, when it comes to the other areas, it is obvious that Albania has performed very well when it comes to the conditions which the European Union has put forward. in order to be able to open the chapters of negotiations. Therefore, it's a big privilege and honor for us that the start of the real substantial negotiations with Albania about the accession have been started during a Hungarian presidency. I can even say that this has becoming a habit on our side, since when we were in this position for the last time, 13.5 years ago, this was the last time when the preparation of an accession of a candidate country has been completed. That was Croatia at that time, and I do hope, joining the Prime Minister's closing remarks on the IGC, we don't have to wait until the next Hungarian presidency to have the next new member of the European Union. More bureaucratically speaking, today we have opened the first cluster of negotiating chapters called the fundamentals. This is one of the 6 clusters which have to be negotiated through. We know, because it has not been a long time ago when we joined the European Union, that the negotiating process, the preparation process, is really tough and complex and difficult. We know that experience here matters. Therefore, when the Prime Minister honored us last Friday with his visit in Budapest, we have agreed that the Diplomatic Academy of the MFA in Hungary will provide training for 50 staff members of the Albanian public administration sector to be able to contribute to the accession procedure and the preparation in its entirety. Last but not least, I'd like to tell you that we, who are located in the direct neighbourhood of the Western Balkans, we carry out a responsible neighbourhood policy. Because we do know well how it feels from the neighbourhood when there's peace, tranquility and development and stability in the Western Balkan area, and when you experience the lack of all these. And we all know that the integration process can help to make the Western Balkan more developed, more stable and safer. Therefore, Hungary is committed to accompany Albania on its road towards the European Union. We will do our best in this regard. I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for not losing patience during the last months and years, to be committed and dedicated, and I can promise to you that we will reciprocate this dedication and commitment. And on the other hand, I'd like to recognise the merits of the Commissioner for Enlargement, not because of his nationality, but because of what he has done for the last 5 years. And I think that the most telling about his performance was the letter which has been signed by 4 leaders of the Western Balkan countries, including the Prime Minister, sent to the Commission President, highlighting the achievements under the term of the Commissioner. So thank you so much, both Mr. Prime Minister and Mr. Commissioner. Thank you so much for honouring me with being able to be part of this historic moment. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Minister. Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
Good morning again to everyone, and I'm truly happy to be here together with Minister Sjarto in his capacity as chair of the second meeting of the Intergovernmental Conference for Albania, and Commissioner Varhelyi, following an emotional, I would say, and successful session of the conference that brings Albania closer to the European Union. Well, it may not seem advisable lately to be seen with a Hungarian, but here I am, not with just one, but 2 Hungarians, and I can tell you it feels really good and truly safe. So, thanks to the Hungarian presidency, which has played a very important role in this process by really pushing, and to Commissioner Varhelyi and his team, who have assisted and supported us all along the way for truly 5 challenging, long, and not always easy years, to put it mildly. and thanks also to every member state. I stand here today after this very significant step towards Albania EU membership. And this is undoubtedly an important day of a historic significance for Albania and its people, but in my view also for the European Union. We don't need, at least I hope not, a reminder of the importance of standing and working together, bound by the principles and values that define the European Union. And this is especially true in these challenging times where a multitude of crises is facing us, with both the need to get closer and stand all together, and also the very need to face ourselves and to understand our way forward. Unfortunately, and this I cannot avoid to say, it was with the help of Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin that this process got a new speed after the aggression on Ukraine, that served as a wake-up call, reminding Europe that the illusion of self-sufficiency is just that. It's an illusion. And clarifying also in the hardest way that the EU needs the Western Balkans as much as the Western Balkans need the EU. So the opening of the cluster of fundamentals today, with its 5 key chapters plus 3 criteria, represent a great achievement, and I believe for both Albania and the EU, and marks a historic milestone in a shared journey towards the whole European reunification. Yesterday, I was in Berlin for the Berlin process, and a journalist asked me if Albania has a plan B in case the EU once again delay or complicates the process, as it did, frankly, in the past. And yes, unfortunately, it's true that sometimes the EU can be unfair, and has been unfair to candidate countries. It was unfair to us when it rejected its own Commission's recommendation, based on facts and based on what makes the European Commission the most credible report maker, to start negotiations with Albania more than once. Nevertheless, we Albanians cannot have a plan B when it comes to individual freedom, rule of law, and functioning democracy. Our history has taught us the hardest way that this cannot be found and either safeguarded outside the EU's realm. They are the A, B, and C of the European way of life. Choosing an alternative to full EU membership would be like giving up the way of life we finally choose after enduring ages of darkness under empires and regimes that were imposed on us. For us, this is not pro-EU rhetoric. It's a matter of life or death. For our dream to leave future generations a country where individual freedom is unquestionable, the rule of law is respected, and democracy functions for everyone. The alternatives to this dream are just different kinds of nightmares. We are here today because Albania has fulfilled diligently all prerequisites for starting this new phase of accession and remains resolute in its determination to meet all future obligations. We'll do this together with our partners through negotiations, with clear commitments, and through hard work. We'll do this with renewed efforts to strengthen the achievements made in justice reform, fostering a more transparent, more accountable, and independent judiciary. And let me say it again here, I told this to the member states before, that for the first time in our history, since Albania became a sovereign state in 1912, we are seeing high-profile investigations and political figures being indicted or convicted in front of an independent court of law, regardless of their ties to the ruling party or others. We'll do this also by combating corruption and organized crime at every level, to ensure safety and security for our citizens and to earn our place at the EU table. Our new justice institutions, born out of the most thorough and deep justice reform ever undertaken by a candidate country before entering the EU, are making remarkable progress alongside law enforcement agencies and European partners. This progress will only further deepen. We'll do this by better protecting and respecting human rights, of course, in an inclusive society that honors diversity and upholds the rights of minority groups, ensuring compliance with European international human rights standards. We have implemented already a very progressive legislative framework based on the highest standards of the Council of Europe, serving as a shining example to many, including countries within the European Union, when it comes to committing to an inclusive society where all minorities are equal and equally protected. And our willingness to live by the spirit and the letter of such advanced legislation will soon be further completed with the necessary bylaws. Finally, we will do this by strengthening the functionality and integrity of our democratic framework, with a public administration guided by principles of efficiency, transparency and meritocracy. And we will build on the excellent work of the large national team of negotiators during the challenging phase of the EU screening of Albania, and will further support an efficient public administration in the service of both our people and our future within the Union. And this is the moment to thank very much Prime Minister Orban and his government for having shown since day one, and having reiterated when I went to Budapest, the will to assist in transferring the know-how Hungary has made during its own process of approaching and then being part of the European Union. So I'm very thankful, my dear friend Peter, also for this last commitment of your excellent academy in the Foreign Ministry to be put in service of upgrading and upskilling our negotiating capacities. So don't want to take more time, and let me conclude by expressing my conviction that every success Albania achieves in the EU integration process should be seen also as another step forward for the entire region. Again, more than ever, EU needs the Western Balkans as much as the Western Balkans need the EU, showing the way toward the EU by standing firm on its values and principles. It's a vital expression of this belief, and our 6 countries may differ in many ways and be at different stages in the process, but one thing is the same everywhere: the desire to be part of this union, the most successful peace and development project humanity has ever created. For Albania, there is no other future, there is no other place, and there is no other way but our future in the EU, our place within the EU, and the way of the EU. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. Commissioner Verhey, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Dear Prime Minister, dear Minister Sijarto, dear friends, I think that today we are celebrating a landmark decision, because maybe in the process gibberish, it sounds very technical, that we have opened the first cluster of the negotiations, but it means that now the road is open for the substantive negotiations, meaning that now we will negotiate the conditions on which Albania is going to be a member of the European Union. This is what is happening today. I also want to thank the Hungarian presidency, who has started its work with putting enlargement not only as a political priority, but also devoting huge efforts to push forward the institutional process. Institutional process meaning having all the necessary decisions and meetings that are required to make progress also in terms of concluding the accession negotiations. Because it is, I think by now, unquestionable that for the EU and also for its leaders, enlargement is among the top 3 priorities. Among the top 3 priorities because without enlargement, Europe cannot grow stronger. We will need enlargement for the European Union to get stronger. Compared to where we started back in 2019, I think we came a long way. I do remember vividly the first day in my office when I had to call Prime Minister Rama already in the morning because they have had a devastating earthquake. A 6.4 earthquake. And we immediately stepped in and tried to help. And I think this has shaped also the rest of the mandate, and not only shaped the mandate, but also brought, I think, a new approach. Because what I have inherited from the Juncker Commission, the Prime Minister already pointed to that, was more like a car crash than a portfolio. We had 3 attempts failed to get agreement on starting the accession negotiations with Albania and North Macedonia. And we had to take it from there. And basically we had to put enlargement policy first from its head on its feet again, then deal with the real enlargement, the real integration, meaning how we're going to get similar economies, societies embedded in the Western Balkans even before accession takes place. That is the economic and investment plan. The first one was creating a new enlargement methodology. And the third one is the latest one, is the growth plan, which is accelerating now the enlargement to make it possible that at the end of the mandate of the next Commission, we will also see Prime Minister Rama nominating his first commissioner to the Commission. And I also very vividly remember when we first discussed with the Prime Minister my plans that I think that we can make the most out of it. And he was looking at me. We didn't know each other, but he was looking at me with, how should I put it, with a modest level of questions, whether this is feasible. And it is feasible. It is feasible because Albania took a new approach when it comes to getting things done. A new approach meaning not being shy of doing everything that is necessary, including things on the ground. If you want to take a couple of examples, we had major concerns back in 2020 when it came to organized crime, when it came to corruption, when it came to the judicial system. And we dug really deep with the Prime Minister. He has been committing, engaging and delivering on all of this with actions together with the Member States, building up trust bit by bit, brick by brick. And I think that was a crucial element in the success the country has accumulated by now. because if you look back where we are now, we had also COVID, we had to deliver vaccines, we had, of course, a major decision already back in 2020 to start the accession negotiations, and then we had another problem completely unrelated to Albania, but by 2022 we have got the first intergovernmental conference of Albania on its way, meaning the accession negotiations have started. And next to it, we also started to build Europe in Albania. We have addressed issues that I think have been lying there as problems for a number of decades. The Vlora bypass, which we inaugurated. You have now the College of Europe in Albania, the first in the Western Balkans, and I could go on. The list is very, very long. And this is because Albania was never shy of doing everything that is required on its EU path. And I do hope that this will continue, because if this continues, it means that with all the tools that we have at hand, Albania can prepare itself to become a member by the end of the next mandate. But it means that on the ground we need to implement also the economic and investment plan. There I have good news. We are at the level of 60% of implementation. I think this is maybe the most successful part of the whole of the EU budget. 60% already now. It means that we have not only a success in terms of implementation, but it also means that effectively the program is overbooked. We have an additional more than 7 billion euros of investment needs flagged by our partners that could trigger an additional 20 billion euros of investments in the region. Investments in the real economy, not investments in general. Investments that will create a new economy and a new society on the Western Balkans. Be it connectivity, be it energy, be it the environment, be it sewage treatment, waste treatment. On all aspects of everyday life, the EU is gearing up itself. And on top of that, the growth plan will also help you to accelerate all the reforms that are necessary for you to become a member. So, Prime Minister, you have everything at your disposal now. So I do hope that by the time I'm gone, you will even speed up the work that I know you feel very, very closely attached. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And now we will take your questions. First, we will start with colleagues in the room. Please, in the yellow. Yes, thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your patience as well. Rosie Burchard for DW. Prime Minister, first a question on the future of Europe. So your deal with Italy on processing asylum applications seems to have inspired other EU countries. We know that EU leaders are likely to be discussing the possibility of more returns hubs when they meet later this week. Have any other EU countries approached you for similar deals? And what do you say to critics who argue that you're basically being asked to do the EU's dirty work? To Foreign Minister, a lot of analysts say the only way the EU can credibly enlarge is if it dropped its unanimity requirements, given how much they tend to delay or even block lawmaking within the bloc. Would Hungary ever consider giving up on its veto? And Commissioner, I'd also be interested in your thoughts more broadly on what the EU has to do in terms of its own homework or possible reforms to be able to expand and grow and have new members in the club. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question. I already explained at length to countless, for my standards, journalists in Berlin yesterday about why Albania has done this deal and how we see this phenomena. So, again, first of all, yes, we have been asked by others and we have said no. Secondly, everyone has to understand that our relation with Italy is a very special one, and it goes back thousands of years, but also goes back with a lot of significant volume of interaction in the last 34 years since we got out of the hellish ditch of the most ruthless communist regime in Europe. When we left our shores in hundreds of thousands and Italy opened its arms, or when Italy came to rescue us in the literal term from a potential financial catastrophe after the fall of pyramid schemes to the days of earthquake that Commissioner Varhelyi rightly mentioned here as the beginning of our reconstruction of this relation, when Italian first responders were the first to come and to risk their lives to save Albanian lives under the rebels. So this is very important. And if this for Italy has been a dirty work, then we have to reciprocate. Thirdly, don't forget, we are not a EU country, but we are an E country, European, and this is not a certificate that we got in Brussels or that can be taken from us from Brussels. So our geography is very revelatory for what we have done with Italy. And yes, if there is something to elaborate and develop based on these models, should be in the upper scale of the European Union and the Western Balkans. And this is another reason, this phenomenon, to understand why European Union and Western Balkans should stick closer together and should work closer together. And this migration phenomena is not something you can tackle just taking it by pieces, but taking it as a whole and guaranteeing a holistic approach of the whole European Union towards this phenomenon, because one thing is to fight illegal migration and the other thing is to guarantee regular migration, and Europe needs to do both. So at the end of my maybe a bit long answer, but just in respect of you being here and following this historic moment for Albania, I would say that we are very, very much keen to do everything it takes to be a proud EU member country. We know, we are aware of our size, we are aware of our weight, and even being the tallest among the European Prime Minister, it doesn't confuse me in representing one of the smallest countries. So, and I know that sometimes for the smaller, there is some heavy work to do. But this is not a menu. When you enter a large family, you can't pick just the sweets and the tasty food. You have also to deal sometimes with some other things that are in the menu and that then maybe not be very tasty, but you have to do it. You have to do it. This is how we see our commitment to this family, being loyal till the end. And I've told before to the member states, European Union will never ever get a more loyal member than Albania. We have shown in our history we are very loyal to the empires. Thank you very much.
To put it simply, I think that giving up the unanimity requirement would lead to the ruining of the European Union. And I tell you why. Because in case unanimity was eliminated, it would downgrade the smaller or mid-sized member states. Because in case of no need for unanimity, the big ones would decide about important issues, and the job of the smaller or mid-sized countries would only be to say yes, yeah, we, see. And this is not how a country should be treated. It is not an accident why the European Union has been, the operation of the European Union has been based on treaties and methodologies, partly which do require unanimity when making decisions on important issues. And I also have to tell you that those member states who refer to the unanimity being an obstacle of enlargement are only basically looking for excuse why they are not enthusiastic about enlargement. Because believe me that if I have to name the area where the hypocrisy is on its top in EU, then enlargement is definitely the one. Because I hear my colleagues speaking in front of audience and among the 27 of us. And unfortunately, I have to tell you that it's not everybody who says the same, openly and behind closed doors. But we are working on those who are saying different things to say the same thing at the end of the day.
Well, on how the EU should reform itself to welcome new members, I think that the Commission has been very clear on the fact that the current institutional setup and treaty setup is perfectly capable of welcoming new members. And I still believe that this is the case. So we see enlargement and internal reforms as parallel debates, and the best is to keep them parallel. Otherwise, it will all become a big soul-searching exercise. So this is one point. The other point is where I think we have a unique opportunity in front of us. This is why I was insisting so much on welcoming new members at the end of the mandate of the next Commission. If you look at the calendar, we are supposed to create a new MFF from 2027. This is where I see that major changes will have to be made to be able to welcome new members. And yes, the new MFF, when created, will have to cater for that. And I think this is going to be a good indication whether the EU will welcome new members under the next mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question in white, please.
Denada Shkodrani, Albanian Public Television. This is an important day for Albania. Congratulations, Prime Minister Rama. I want to know what steps you will take to complete this process before 2030. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it is our aim to complete this process within this decade and be ready to knock at the door of the European Council as a member state. And this, of course, is very ambitious. It takes a very, very large volume of work. We have been very closely working with the Commission, and we have set up together a roadmap, again, very ambitious. We have a plan, and we also count on friends and partners to help us achieve that. And when I say help us, it goes both ways, not simply politically, where fortunately we have a very large support, but also technically, where we need know-how and we need brain support. And by doing all this, I'm very confident that for as much as we are concerned, we'll fulfill all the interim benchmarks, concept that entered today in my life and will persecute me for the rest of this decade until we'll come here and hopefully we'll listen that we have fulfilled this interim benchmarks. And then, of course, it's about political decision. But until then, what is important for us is to make Albania like a member state in its way of functioning, in its way of dealing, in its way of being. And this is the most important thing, because we don't want Albania to leave and to take its bags and come to Brussels. We want European Union to be in Albania. And if you were attentive to Commissioner Varhelyi, he mentioned something which is, in fact, our mantra. He said, in Albania, we have started to build Europe. And this is exactly what we want to finish, to build Europe in Albania. Thank you.
Next question, Zoltán, please.
Good morning, Zoltán Bugnyár from Hír TV, Hungary. Congratulations, Prime Minister Rama, for this big step. Last week in Strasbourg, Prime Minister Viktor Orbán said that without Serbia, the integration of the Western Balkan is not possible. Minister Szijjártó, how do you see during the Hungarian presidency, are there any chances to achieve other bigger milestones in terms of other Western Balkan countries to open some new folders with them? Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. As I said at the very beginning, when it comes to the presidency agenda, we have put the issue of acceleration of enlargement on the Western Balkans on the top, and we had some very concrete plans. One of them has been fulfilled today. But it was a very clear plan and goal of ours to start the substantial negotiations with Albania. We can tick that box, partly because I do believe that if everybody does his and her job in a fair and appropriate way, then before the end of the year, at least one another cluster of chapters with Albania should be able to be open, which is Cluster 6, which is external relations. I think it's obvious that practically and pragmatically looking at the issue, Albania is ready. So I do hope that all the bureaucratic homework will be made here in Brussels, and we can sit together for another IGC before the end of the mandate of the presidency. We have a very clear goal when it comes to Serbia as well. It is obvious that Serbia is able and is ready to open the next cluster of chapters, which is about inclusive growth and development. If you travel to Belgrade twice with a difference of 1 month, then you see what development and growth means. So those bureaucrats here who have a concern about whether Serbia is ready to open that chapter, I would propose to travel to Belgrade twice within 2 weeks, and then they will see that they are ready. So we have a clear goal. I hope that those member states who are more critical to Serbia will not put an obstacle to this way, to have an IGC, an intergovernmental conference meeting with Serbia as well, most preferably to open the cluster about growth and including growth and development. If this is not going to be the case, to have at least a political IGC meeting to show the commitment from both sides towards the enlargement process of Serbia. And when it comes to Montenegro, Montenegro has now the most open chapters, and they are ready to close 4 or 5. And we have a clear goal here that during our term we hold an IGC with Montenegro to be able to close those chapters where they have achieved and completed the closing benchmarks as well. Of course, we are committed to support the other candidates as well, Bosnia-Herzegovina and North Macedonia as well. I think the ideal situation would be if IGCs could take place with both of them, but it does not depend only on us, only on the presidency. It does not depend only on the commissioner. It depends on the consensus of all 24. And here comes the problem, which I have referred to, that although you might hear pro-enlargement statements from most of the EU member states publicly, but believe me, when we sit together 27, some of them usually put forward rather obstacles, concerns and criticism instead of supporting the process. So these are our clear plans for the remaining 2.5 months of the presidency.
Thank you. Next question. Szabolcs, please.
Thank you for the floor. Szabolcs Gábor, Hungarian News Agency. I would like to thank you for the answers, but I would like to ask you what kind of difficulties do you expect Mr. Szijjártó during the process, and how should the EU enlargement policy be changed? And Mr. Várhelyi, Commissioner Várhelyi, you mentioned that in April the European Union created a €6 billion financial instrument to speed up the EU integration to the Western Balkans. How does this tool perform? Are already results visible? And to Mr. Prime Minister, how did the participating countries take this initiative? Thank you.
With your permission then, and with your encouragement. We have not joined the European Union long time enough ago, to be able to forget about the complexity and the level of let's say, challenges to be forgotten. So we still remember very vividly the process, which was long, very complicated, very complex. And we know that experience here matters. Therefore, while being sure about the fact that this is going to be a demanding process by Albania, the most we can do is to share our experience. So as we are doing with Moldova, and as we have agreed upon with Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have agreed with Albania as well about the training program by the Hungarian Diplomatic Academy to be ensured to the staff members of the public administration, 50 of them in Albania, to get the necessary knowledge, expertise and experience about how to move forward with the accession procedure. We will be there regardless of whether we are presidency or not, for Albania to assist them throughout the whole process.
Okay. On the growth plan, where the growth plan was adopted this year, and it works in two ways. First of all, it provides additional investments in all the areas where we need substantive investments for implementing all the reforms that are necessary to become an EU member. This is the €6 billion of funding that is allocated to the plan. But for this to work, we need a buy-in from the candidate countries, meaning we need to have a reform agenda from each of them, sketching out everything that they are going to do up until the end of this financial period, basically by end of 2027. So this is a program that is going to deliver the same impact, I hope, as a program of a normal life cycle, but only through the life cycle of half an MFF. So we are talking about 3.5 years. And therefore, the reform agendas are going to be key. This is what we have agreed by now with our partners. There's only Bosnia and Herzegovina still missing. These reform agendas have been approved by the Council last week. So basically, we anticipate the first payments already still this month. This is the plan. This also means that now the clock is ticking to the candidate countries to start delivering on the reforms so that we can advance with the further payments. At the end of this MFF, this program, together with the economic and investment plan, which is mobilizing 1/3 of the GDP of the whole region, we will have an aid intensity which is comparable to current cohesion and structural funds countries, meaning 90% of the aid intensity per capita they get, the Western Balkans will get. This means that after that, there will be no excuse but to be ready to join the European Union. So we are not only on track, but I think we took a flying start. I hope that this will continue and that with the growth plan, we will accelerate all the reforms that are necessary to be a member. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and let me tell you that when I entered these corridors a decade ago, I promise you my hairs were much more complex in their color, and 10 years it has been a long way. And when I think that in these 10 years Albania has doubled its GDP, has nearly tripled its minimum wage, has nearly doubled its average wage in the public sector, has brought down the debt under 60%, has upscaled foreign direct investments, has become the newest, coolest touristic destination in Europe by having the fastest growing international airport in Europe, by having gone from lousy 1-point-something million tourists per year based mostly in the Albanians around, in the countries around, to more than 10 million. And when I see that in the process of integration we have changed so much things together with Commissioner Varhelyi and the von der Leyen Commission, because we have entered in a new dynamic of dialogue and of understanding each other, that it cannot be nothing or all at the end, but it should be something in the middle. So, as I said, Putin helped us, and so we are now with many new things that were not the case for other countries when they tried to enter the European Union. And the new growth plan is part of them. It's not just a financial instrument, because journalists everywhere, even in Albania, they look only on the financial side, but it's also about the integration in the European single market, just the payments, just to be the part this year, at the end of this year, and to start from the beginning of next year, for all Albanian citizens living abroad, to be part of the single European payment area will mean tens of millions of euros saved for our people through money transfer. And this is one of many that I can count. So how we have received that really with a lot of encouragement, These things looked impossible 5 years ago, and today they are reality. And as Commissioner Vallady mentioned, three times in a row, we were humiliated. We were ready, the Commission said we were ready, and then the dynamics, as Peter mentioned, inside the closed doors, behind the closed doors, were such that we were three times humiliated. But, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And there's a German philosopher that said it. So we make a strength out of that, and here we are today, and we know that it's still a long way. We don't have illusions. And we know that old habits die hard. So things may become bumpy again. Doesn't matter. For us, there is no other way, there is no other place, there is no other future. And, you know, one thing everyone has to understand. When Albanians are in love, they are unstoppable.
Thank you. We have one more question online. I see a hand. Momchir, please, if you hear us, the floor is yours.
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
But you don't see me.
We don't see you.
Well, but because the host has stopped my video, I don't know why. Okay, I started. Yeah. So I have first, good morning and congratulations. I have three questions. Every question is to one of the three speakers. First question to the Commissioner Varhey. Commissioner, today the EU in fact separated, decoupled Albania and North Macedonia. What must happen? Is there any chance the two countries to be recoupled again? And what must happen for that? Second question to Minister Sijarto. Minister, what is Hungary intending to do to eventually recouple Albania and North Macedonia? And third question to Prime Minister Rama. Your Excellency, you attacked Bulgaria more than once for its policy towards Republic of North Macedonia. After the two countries were decoupled, do you still think that you were right in those attacks?
Thank you very much. It seems that this is the only question you are interested in, although it is unrelated to Albania's IGC today, but I'm happy to answer, of course. Let me correct you in your answer, because the two, if they were coupled in any way, I don't think that they were legally coupled. Politically, maybe. Legally, never. They have already been starting their first IGCs on a completely different setting, and that was in 2022. So this is not new. That Albania is running on its own path. It's an on merit-based process, and it's the same for North Macedonia. And coupling candidate countries with one another would mean that we compromise, or we allow compromises to be made on the own merit principle, and that is one of the cornerstones of the Copenhagen criteria.
I'd like to emphasize that Albania has deserved to start the substantial negotiations for a long time now. And I also do believe that North Macedonia would deserve to start the substantial negotiations as well. we all know that there are what kind of obstacles there are, and what I can promise you as the Hungarian presidency and as a pro-enlargement country, we will continue to support both countries to be able to go through the accession process as quickly as it is just possible.
My friend, you are aware of the neighborhood, and you may know that Albania has been coupled forcefully many times. We have been coupled with the Ottomans, we have been coupled with the Italians, we have been coupled with the Yugoslavs, we have been coupled with the Stalinist Russia, with Soviet Union, we have been coupled with Maoist China, and in all these couplings we realized that we wanted to not be coupled by force by anyone, but we wanted to find our own happiness in an only and single couple, Albania and the European Union. And then what happened? This path was opened, and suddenly we found ourselves coupled with Macedonia. Well, let's say it was not so bad, because we could share our gloomy situation with each other. We looked a bit like Vladimir and Estragon waiting for Godot, and at that time Brussels looked like the emulation of Samuel Beckett. But I don't think that this was something that nor you and either us should have seen and should see as a never-ending story. So I must say that we feel really sad, and I sincerely say it, for the fact that our brotherly Northern Macedonia is not yet able to enter in this phase of the process, while they were among the first, if not the first, to start the process. So when I talk about our humiliations, 3 times in a row being refused to start the accession talks, then I feel somehow embarrassed, because I have to think of North Macedonia humiliation. You even changed name to be able to start this. And so yes, I stand by everything I said about our Bulgarian friends, because history cannot be a reason to stop the accession talks for any country. Different views on who was the mother of our heroes and with whom she made love, and what was their biometric identity at that time, and to whom they were related when they were deciding to make love, are really very, very interesting topics for historians, but I don't think are part of whatever connects us to become part of the European Union. So this is something that stands. It's not an attack on our Bulgarian friends. It's just stating the obvious. And to me and to us, reaching the European Union is learning to look the past with the eyes of the future. Looking the future with the eyes of the past, it will only bring complications. And last but not least, I've said, and I repeat, and yesterday, by the way, in the Berlin process meeting, everyone stated that bilateralization of the path towards the European Union of a country is sick. They didn't say it like that, but I say like it's a sick thing. Because if you bilateralize this process, you only do harm to that country. You only do harm to what is about when we say a family of values and principles. The integration process for us, Albania, and for us in the region, is something that is a bit different than it was for the Hungarians, for example. Communism for the Hungarians was a brutal accident in a path of a nation that had a state, that had institutions, that had academia, that had all the things, not democracy, but all the things for hundreds of years. For us, it's different. We don't have back in our history the tradition of institutions. We don't have back in our history the tradition of a state that functions independently of the system. And we had only 50 years of a communist state, useless for integrating Europe, and some years of an attempt to make a state before that. So preventing us to go further with the negotiations by putting bilateral pretensions, or by having to serve elections in member state countries, is preventing the oxygen, preventing the know-how that comes from this building, from this complex of institutions, the know-how of how to build institutions, of how to make reforms, of how to make sure that the values, the principles, standards are incarnated in the way the state works. And you can't learn this by the books. And you can't find it anywhere. Afghanistan failed. Iraq failed. Everyone else outside of this continent that will look for democracy and flourishing and blossoming and whatever is doomed to fail for only one simple reason: has not the blessed to be in this continent and to have the European Union as source of know-how, as source of all you need, not just to know theoretically, but to do practically, to make your country ready as a member state, meaning individual freedom guaranteed, rule of law guaranteed, and functioning of democracy guaranteed. Preventing Macedonia and then North Macedonia, and I hope it will not be a South Macedonia, to do this was doing a great harm to a nation, doing a great harm to people, doing a great harm to our region. And this I stand for, and I can confront everyone, and it's not a confrontation. It's just simply a fact, okay? I love Alexander the Great. We all love Alexander the Great, but I don't care. I don't care where he was born, and I'm not pretending to get my part as Albanian in his genes. We already have many Albanians pretending that Napoleon is Albanian. You want me to open a bilateral problem with France about it? Because then it will be a bilateral dispute about Corsica, and then it will never end. Einstein was Albanian, you know? So what we do? Come on, we need to be serious and really. And then there is always a moment, and I finish here, to block. Okay, you know, let the countries grow, let the countries do their job, let the countries learn how to build institutions, let the countries implement all needed to have individual freedom, rule of law, democracy, and then when they come to become members, say, no, I don't like your name. But at least you have given them everything to function like an EU member state. And then you say, I don't like your name. Fine, fair enough. But not when the countries need the know-how, not when the countries need the help, not when the countries need the support. Because then you have a country where 20 years ago it was an undisputable Western Euro-Atlantic community, and today look who is the most liked politician in Macedonia, in North Macedonia or whatever. Because I don't want now to have a phone call from my Greek friends to say, you said Macedonia. No, it's North. Thank you.
This concludes our press conference. Thank you so much for being here. Prime Minister, Minister, Commissioner, thank you so much. See you soon.